And welcome to HBYOB BrewCast, where we drink beer, talk about making beer. We just have a good time. I'm your host, Easy Kill. I got a co-host, Chris Allen, and the owner of HBYOB, Joey Brumley. Tonight, we're just going to be talking general beer making. So join us. And it's Easy Kill here. I'm with Chris Allen this evening. Chris, what beer are you bringing to the table?
All right, so I wanted to talk to you guys tonight about this wonderful beer that I picked up, and I would highly recommend that you guys do it too. So everybody at home, this is the beer to get this year, and I'm not even joking right now, guys. So if you're at Kroger's, actually, I don't even think that this beer is too high class for Kroger's, okay? So the folks that are here in Dayton, you'll probably have to go to probably Arrow Wine, I think, in order to pick this up, because it's going to be that that high class. So that in order for you to pick it up. So it is called Pabst American Pale Ale.
Get out of town! That's what I'm bringing to the table.
Hell no, I wasn't going to do that.
No, that's what I'm bringing to the table, bitches.
Absolutely not. No.
All right, what do you have? What do you have, Chris?
All right, so I picked up. So you guys know me. I'm definitely a can art guy. So this one from Against the Grain, it's called Citra Ass Down. All right. The second I read the title, I was like, yeah, I'm gonna have to pick this up. And then the can art definitely sold me. So Against the Grain, out of Louisville, if I'm not mistaken, or somewhere in Kentucky. This one right here, double IPA, obviously based off the name, Citra Ass Down. A ton of citra hops is what I'm expecting, and smells like it, tastes like it. I would highly recommend anybody that that has a chance to go up and pick up some of their stuff. I went down and grabbed actually just 2 or 3 different beers, like from that particular brewery, because they all looked fairly decent. So I would recommend you folks picking this one up.
All right. And Joey from HBYOB, what are you bringing to the table tonight?
So I bring from Maui, Hawaii, the Maui Brewing Company, and the beer is Big Swell IPA.
All right.
And it is full of, the description is tropical citrus hops burst from dry hopped India Pale Ale. It smells delicious. I have had it, so I kind of remember what it tasted like.
All right. And Chris can make fun. I am bringing the Pabst APA to the table. I'm sorry. I'm not the classiest of the group here.
What are you talking about?
Which is hard to believe. Which is hard to believe.
Pabst. Okay. I know folks want to say that, Pabst is one of those low dollar types of beers nobody wants, but
okay.
You ain't above a PBR.
I'm going to argue your can art. I think this is a beautiful can.
It caught my eye. I'm not going to lie to you. I picked up a 6-pack of that on Sunday night, and I was looking for it. And
if it didn't say Pabst, if we took the word Pabst off here and added, Pricer Premium Ale or some odd name, or, Easy Kill Ale, and it had this same American Pale Ale, you'd have bought it. And especially at $12.99 a 6-pack.
So not to make the show about that beer, but thank you, Chris. I have drank one of those because of Chris. Chris's description of what the beer tastes like, I think, nails it on the head.
Whatever. I even went with a classy glass, the old heavy-duty 12-ounce mug. That is what you drink a Pabst out of.
Like a Duff mug.
Exactly.
I think I bet Duff has Pabst APA. I couldn't tell you the last time I had a regular Pabst, to be real honest.
Honestly, I think it's one of those, PBR is one of those beers that if I go on vacation somewhere and I go to a bar and I don't recognize any of the beers, or I'm not really interested in what they have, I'll ask for a PBR, to be quite honest with you.
I'm a PBR when you go to a bar and it's on sale for like $1.25 a can or $1 a can.
Yes. Yeah. Because it's always one of the cheap ones.
Yep.
I mean, it's one of the cheapest beers on there. You know what you're getting into. I mean, it's almost
not bad.
Yeah. It's one of my go-tos. Yeah.
I would say between Yingling and PBR, those are probably my two.
That's the other one.
Macro beers.
Mm-hmm.
Whatever. I think this is more of a lawnmower beer, meaning if you're out of gas, you pour this in there, you probably get 2 or 3 more swipes in the backyard.
What are you talking about? Screw that. I'll sit there and
just run faster.
I hate to say it actually has a little more of a, it's hard to say this, but I'm used to opening a Miller Lite or a Bud Light and getting no odor. You know what I'm saying? I mean, really, and maybe it's just me.
Odor would describe it as being bad.
I'm so classy.
Aroma, Mark.
I'm classy enough. I'm drinking Pabst. The word odor. I'm sorry. No one walks into someone's mobile home and goes, "The aroma in here is, a little
dank."
Right. The odor is more like wet dog. The aroma is, more like potpourri.
Well, one of my favorite descriptor is a cat litter box or something like that. So, I mean,
wait, that's the name of a hop?
No, it's one of the descripting like terms of what it smells like.
Yeah,
like cat litter box, cat pee. It's like, well, that sounds delicious, but it is one of my more favorites. I want to
put that in my beer.
Yeah, it's in pretty much all mine.
Well, we got a few things to talk about tonight. Real quick though, we're live on YouTube again tonight. Go to the YouTube channel, search HBYOB. We're live on Spreaker. Again, search HBYOB BrewCast.
And directly from the website.
Yeah, HBYOB.com. It's now on the website, right on the main page. Click on us, and you get to hear from us. The first thing we're going to start with is I want to get some updates from our newest retailer, our newest employee in the beer making department. Chris, I know you filled in at HBYOB this week while Joey was off in an urgent family matter that happened to take place in Hawaii. So he had a week off, and Chris, you went in there and took over. I actually, your wife, I think, worked through the week, and you did the heavy lifting on the weekends. How was your first experience in the retail area of beer making supplies?
It was god awful. No, I'm just playing. No, I had a blast. Christina, I mean, God love her. She took care of the 5 days leading up to when I got to take over. And honestly, when I walked in on Saturday morning, I was somewhat nervous because before Joey left, he hyped up the weekend like, oh my God, it's gonna be so busy. Saturday is always like one of my worst days, so I want to make sure that somebody's there that I can trust, so that nobody's gonna have too many issues and everything will go smoothly. So that's fine. If you can take the weekend, that'd be great. So that was the spiel I got from Joey 2 weeks ago. During the week, Christina's like asking me questions. She's giving me a call. She's texting me this, that, and the other because folks wanted to know how to do things or whatever the case may be. And then just dealing with general orders that also consumed a lot of her time, like while she was there. So then Friday night, we're talking, and she's like, "Well, you should take, Haley. Haley's our 13-year-old daughter. You should take her down there with you in order to help." I'm like, "Why do I need all this help?" Because it's just going to be busy. I'm convinced, after what Joey told us and after what I've seen during the week, you have to have help on Saturday. So now I'm walking in on Saturday morning. I'm nervous because, there's going to be folks, all these folks showing up, and I'm not, I'm going to be just completely overwhelmed. And, I'm probably going to wind up screwing somebody's order up or kicking somebody out of the store. Something bad's going to happen. But I wound up having a blast. I mean, everybody saw, my Facebook posts, like as I was going on throughout the day. Talking with folks in the store, communicating with folks, through social media after the store was closed. If you're going to do something, I mean, you have to, try and at least reach out and let people know, not necessarily your experience or your skill level, but just that, I mean, this is a hobby. I mean, I don't think we have anybody that comes through the store that's a quote unquote professional. I mean, there are some folks that, you know, that work for local breweries or whatever that come in to get supplies, but a lot of the folks are coming in there, they're doing it for fun. So let's have fun.
And you do it for fun. So obviously, you know.
Yeah. But let's have fun. Like, why can't, you know?
I mean, it wasn't filling in at Victoria's Secrets for a week, but shit, it's beer.
That was awkward as hell. I don't think I would have, that wouldn't have worked out well for me.
I don't know. I might want to give that one a shot.
Yeah, I'm agreeing. If I got to fill in for a week somewhere, you know, beer would be up there, I think. I mean,
I might be more knowledgeable in that department.
I'd get into less trouble at HBYOB than if I was working at Victoria's Secret.
Okay. Now, the trouble meter is not a concern. We're just talking what's on your list. It's just three guys talking.
Got it.
If I've got, and you guys, I mean, Joey knows I did retail for 15 years. So, and I did it in a category I enjoyed. You know, there's a handful of customers that piss you off enough that you go home certain days that you think, why do I do this? But, you know, if you enjoy what you sell and you enjoy talking to people that also partake in that hobby or that thing, it can be fun.
That's what makes it enjoyable.
I mean, I realize, you know, I two questions I had written down. The first give me I put this one question, the high point of the week that you were there and the low point, meaning and I mean, it's Joey, he's not going to fire you. I mean, what happened? You went, that sucked. And then what happened? You go, man, that was cool. Come on, give me one of each.
I would say, we'll start with the bad news. I would say the low point in the week was there was a gentleman that came in and he was looking for a specific piece of equipment. And I didn't specifically know if we had it in stock or if it was there on the shelves or where he could find it. I knew about where on the wall it was supposed to be, but it didn't seem like he was able to locate it. So I'm going to check and see if we actually had it in stock. But as I'm trying to look that up, another gentleman comes in and he has a grain bill and he's looking to get all this stuff ready so he can brew today or that day, the next day, you know, whatever. So I have to shift my focus to help that guy as he has stuff that I can actually attend to and get his grains crushed, you know, all that jazz. So as I'm working with him, the other guy, I can see him walking around the store and then, you know, he just, you know, throws up his hands and then he waves to me and then he leaves. You know, and I felt bad because I couldn't help him because, you know, I wanted to understand, like, get into more of what he was looking for. I figured what he was looking for we had. It might just not have been there. It might have been out of stock. And
did you figure that out eventually, or did you realize you didn't have it?
I figured it out eventually, and I talked to Joey about it actually on Monday.
Dang it! Yeah. So this isn't new news. I wanted to start something. Damn it!
He's wrote up.
Okay, but now I need to go there because I know Joey's history. Actually, I don't know. Have you ever worked retail?
I have not worked retail before. Right. I do not have the patience to deal with
the number one thing is as soon as you have more than one customer, the guy that's looking at the most expensive shit gets your attention the most.
No, that's not true.
The most look at the most it will. Now, hey, a good guy can handle both and you juggle what you have to juggle. I've done that a million times. Like I said, I did retail for 15 years. But at the same time, I'm not letting the $100 guy go because the $10 guy needed me to hold his junk. I'm sorry. I have learned that.
Ask Chris what I told him when I told him about the situation. How do I handle it, Chris?
I also know your retail experience. So
yeah,
I'm just saying.
Okay. The first person who walks the door gets 100% of my attention. And then when the next person comes, I let them know, hey, I'll be with you as soon as I can. And until the first person's been handled or questions asked, or sometimes they'll say, go ahead and ask him. I just want to look around. Sure. Yeah. Right. I don't divert my attention. To me, it doesn't matter how little or how much you spend. If first come, first serve at my business is the way I treat it.
All right. First come, first serve. But if you both walk in at the same time and one's spending 100 and one's spending 10, I'll figure out how to get the guy's 10 in a hurry. But that $100 guy, I'm going to spend.
No. Yeah. I mean, don't get me wrong. I might not be as chatty as I usually am, because if you're the only one in the store, I'll talk your ear off until another customer comes. But I'm pretty good I try my best.
And that's good.
You know,
I mean, hey, and again, I'm not even saying it in a negative way. You want every customer to leave with with the thought that they were taken care of, even if they didn't get what they wanted. So, I get that.
And that was the biggest thing I told Chris and Christina while they were gone was the truth sets you free. You know, if you're extremely honest to people, and there's nothing wrong with saying I don't know. I found that very early on when I opened up the business was saying I don't know and being truthful is way better than making shit up.
I would agree.
Way better than making shit up. So if you don't know, let them know and just say, hey, I'll try the best I can to come up with a solution. I know Christina texted or called Chris on multiple occasions asking questions or this or that. And there's nothing wrong with that. I mean, people respect that, I feel. And that's honestly the way I try to treat everyone. I would say that's the best thing about the business that I have is I've never had, those customers where you're just rolling your eyes like, man, that person was a jerk or this or that. I mean, we all share a common interest. That common interest is exciting and we try the best we can. I can't promise the world to every customer. I'd love to have every product available out there. Unfortunately, I just can't because of shelf life on certain items. But
why don't you have Galaxy Hops, bro?
I can't find them. I can't. I mean, other than that's it. I mean, but I'll be honest, if I could find them, and the biggest one I get actually besides Galaxy is small wood barrels to age, say, spirits or wine. Mm-hmm. I tell people I've heard from so many people eBay has got the best price for them, and I don't feel right charging you a markup on me just buying them from eBay. So,
but sometimes it's convenience. People are willing to pay more knowing they can run in and grab one from you today versus waiting a week to get it in eBay. I mean,
don't get me wrong. I mean, it's definitely things I factor in, but I'm honest and I tell people all the time, I'll special order for you. I'll do whatever I can. But like I said, truth sets you free. I mean, people respect honesty, and I'm not gonna lie and rip people off.
It's a lot easier to remember the honest answers you gave than the shit you lied about. So that's the other issue. You start making stuff up, and you got to try to remember. What did I lie about last time? But
right.
Retail is hard. Now, the good thing is, in a small store, you have advantages that big stores don't have and some of that stuff. But, beer making is a little smaller of a group. And I would assume most people, there's jerks in that walk into every store every day, probably. But I'd assume that most people are walking in knowing, one, they don't have too many options. And two, you know what? They're probably like us anyway. They don't mind talking about it or waiting a few minutes. And even in what I did retail for 15 years, I every once in a while would catch my customers helping my customers.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah.
And that's kind of cool. Where you get somebody going, hey, you know what? I use this grain. If he's, I know you asked. I heard you ask him for that, and he wasn't sure, but I can tell you this is similar or this will work. So I'm sure you learn that way, and your customers can help teach another customer, and that's kind of fun.
I actually don't have too much experience in the retail space. I actually have a funny story about retail and jobs that happened today, but, with that, customers come in packs. It seems like you might go an hour or two, nobody walks in, and then you'll go especially when your lunch is hot and ready in the back room, you'll go 2-3 hours and, there'll be multiple customers in the store at the same time, back to trying to divert your attention, properly and fairly to all the customers. But I mean, to me, that's what I love. And like you said, customers will help other customers out. I mean, it's tough where at times you kind of got to bite your lip. And even though they might be giving other customers information you don't necessarily agree with, it's not right to cut them off or call them or cut them off and say you're wrong. But I mean, at the same point in time, they are very helpful. And there's been customers, there's a homebrew club that's close to us. Customers will come in. Just recently, Paul came in and there was an answer to a question I didn't have. And someone from a homebrew club came and said, hey, Paul, can you help this guy out? Because I'm kind of scratching my head on his issue. And so it's great. People love to talk brewing. And, when you ask for people's advice and people love to share information, it's fantastic. Well, that's the best thing about the business. Have the
internet now, so obviously if a customer has a question, you say, I don't know. Let me Google that real quick. I'm sure that comes up every once in a while.
I think that's kind of the problem is we do have the internet these days.
Right.
And right. seems like people want to choose one way or the other, and you're an idiot if you believe one way. There's so much, and that's the thing we're learning with home brewing or beer making in general. Is there's a lot of misguided information out there. And so when you tell people, hey, this is what the internet, I tell it to customers all the time. This is what the internet says. Here's what my experience has led me to believe. Maybe I'm wacky. You can try it the way the internet says or the books say. Here's my recommendation. Or you can try it the way I have found works for me. And in all honesty, customers will come in and sometimes they'll go, yeah, I appreciate that, Joey, but I just want to do it this way. Or they come in and go, thank you for saying that. You're right. You were 100% right. I don't need 10 feet of beverage hose because the internet says you need that much resistance to keep my beer from being foamy and so forth and so on. And that's rewarding for me, is being able to share the experience of here's what the internet says, but here's what I found that works best for me. And when people come in and give you that gratification of like, I don't want to use the word you were right, but wow, like you really helped me out. I didn't need 10 feet of hose. I didn't need this. And back to, a business, a common, or I shouldn't say a good business owner, I should say, would sell you 10 feet versus I'm trying to sell you 2, you know what I mean? So it's one of those things for me. It's more of what's going to keep you brewing, because I believe if you continue to brew, that's all that matters to me. And I don't care about saving or making a few extra bucks off you today, because I know as long as you keep brewing and you keep coming back, that's all I really care about.
Right. Well, again, there's a comedian, one of his shows where he has a skit where he goes, it's called, I don't know it for a fact. I just know it's true. And sometimes in retail that can be the answer. I don't know this for a fact, but I know it to be true, because I even do that. And you know what I do for a living. And there's times where the customer that is asking a question I have never, ever done in my whole life, but I've talked to enough other customers that have done it that I can look at a customer and say, I'm not going to tell you this is right necessarily, but I've had a lot of my customers tell me this is how they've done it.
Yeah.
Meaning I don't know it for a fact, but I do know it's true, and in retail, sometimes that's the way you have to handle the customer in some situations, and it makes it fun. Now, Chris, did you get paid in hops, barley?
Yeah, Joey just let me walk out with about 2 big sacks of grain, and that was my payment.
You had a key. I don't care what you walked out with.
I mean, and Christina, she doesn't really drink beer, so he actually, he gave her liquor instead.
In the on the VHS tape recording machine, is there any blackouts where it might have been turned off for 10 minutes while you ran out to the
I just
car?
pulled that shit out the whole time we were there. I don't want to be on tape. We can't have that. We can't have that.
It was like that scene from Willy Wonka when he opens up the door to the chocolate factory. Yeah, everything was edible. Just have at it.
Yep.
All right. Now, so that was good. So Chris, did we get an answer of the best thing that happened? The most positive thing that happened to you?
Oh yeah. So the most positive thing that happened to me. Well, I would say 2 good things that happened. One, there were 2 guys that came in. They were looking for a clone for zombie dust, but they were looking for the extract version of it. And I couldn't remember offhand how you could convert what's in the ingredient binder from all grain to extract. So then we were going kind of back and forth over how they could do it, using all grain recipe. And then also when they came down to the hops, what hops they could use, because it has a list. It's just like Citra. But we were out of Citra. So it's okay, well now how do we, Wait
a minute, the owner didn't even give you a well-stocked inventory?
No, he just said, "Screw you guys, I'm going to, I'm out."
Okay, in my defense, a brewery clean of my 1 pounders of Citra right before I left, and it was the only hop variety we were out of. So
yeah,
the one variety Chris knows you didn't have. That's nice.
Yeah, and they went straight for that one. So it's having to be on your toes and be like, okay, well, if we can't use this, you can substitute. You can substitute this, and kind of having that back and forth. And we actually wound up having a decent conversation while they were still in the store about what they can do to adjust and still wind up with the target of what they wanted. And the other guy that I was talking to while he was there, getting his grains and stuff crushed up. And then he wound up actually like pulling out his phone and showing me like his setup, like that he has down in his basement.
Whoa, I'm glad you said phone. I mean, some guy whips his thing out and shows me his setup. I'm backing up a little bit.
Well, I pulled the tape. I already told you that, man. So
I was in retail. I was retail long enough to hear all kinds of stories, and someone, you know, it's in there.
TMI.
The things. I mean, that's. I hope that doesn't happen in a brew store. I mean, good Lord. But yeah,
he showed you his equipment. I'm not the one that brought it up.
I'm just telling you that I was.
The guy whipped it out, showed you his equipment.
I was really impressed. I mean, he said he had. You
were impressed with the guy's equipment. Is that what you're telling me?
So staying on track, Chris. He showed me a picture of his equipment.
Yeah, he showed me a picture of his setup. He had like on upwards of about $4,000 or so, like invested into it. I mean, it's almost like
some brass. Did that boy have some brass?
Look like it. It looks like you could just drop your grains into a single pot, and then you can wind up with your wort on the other side. I mean, it was just. I was really impressed.
I would say probably 40% of the customers that come in have better setups than I do. It's amazing.
Maybe you need that.
Absolutely amazing the setups people have, and quite honestly, I've even had a few times where I've had flyers for people who were selling and swapping, and we're even going to discuss like doing like kind of, I don't want to say garage sale, but a homebrew swap, or you kind of want to come and trade your equipment kind of thing. I'm mesmerized. Like I said, people who have some pretty awesome setups. But we need to have a post where people show off their gear, and I don't mean that. And like, I mean, quite honestly, it is something to be proud of. I mean, everyone's got their own
rig wall. You need like a rig wall where people can bring in a picture and post it on this board or something. That would
be awesome.
Good idea. That would be neat.
People don't print shit these days. So yeah. What are you going to do? Put your cell phone on the wall?
Yeah, exactly.
Hey, all right.
That's a really good idea. I think folks should. I mean, honestly, although
I do need a cork board.
The thing that would kind of suck would be that the only way that you can start off like a post like that would be posting your own setup. So I'd be like, okay, hey, everybody show us your setups, and then it'd just be like my picture, like
here's my
cooler and 2 buckets.
But that's fine. But anybody knows that one man's equipment might not look as efficient, but it serves the purpose.
Right. But then like the very next post is going to be some dude like Blickman or whatever. And it's going to be, and I'll just sit there and like blow my shit back to the Stone Age.
Bigger and shinier.
Somebody's got that Dirk Diggler equipment. But you know what? It's still what comes out and what you're drinking. That makes a difference.
That's actually the thing, and please don't let me forget what I want to discuss. Or it's a funny story about the job I used to have. But it is amazing to me. I was thinking about this on the way home. We're making award-winning beer at home. I mean, if you think about it, it's award-winning to us because we adjust to our taste buds.
This shit won a blue ribbon. I mean,
well, I actually learned a little bit about that. I actually learned that from a brewery that came in today. The head brewer says, you can win gold, and so can like 100 other breweries. They base it based on points. So there's not like you won a gold medal, meaning all the other people got bronze, silver, shit, runner up. Meaning if your beer scores so high in that category,
you get a ribbon.
You get blue ribbon, gold ribbon. So
it's a participation ribbon at some point. As long as you participate at a certain level, you get a ribbon.
He basically said when you score points at a certain level, you get bronze, silver, gold, and 100, 1,000, 2. It doesn't matter. Your points based on your beer's score gets whatever ribbon. Does that make any sense? You're not like
I think so.
There's only one gold. There's only one gold, one silver, one bronze.
Okay.
And that's what he said. It's based on points. You could have 100 golds go out. So I'm not knocking PBR, but I'm just throwing that out there.
Whatever.
But, what was I saying?
I don't know. You're going to tell a funny story. You're going to talk about somebody's equipment.
A customer came in today with the most primitive system in the world. He brought me a beer. I tried it, and it was fantastic.
How often does that happen?
Couple times a week.
Couple times a week, you get samples.
Oh yeah.
Oh, nobody brought me any beer.
Well, Chris, you brought me one yesterday?
I was just getting ready to go there. I was just getting ready to ask Chris how many samples
I'm about to put a Facebook post up right now. Like, you guys didn't bring me any beer?
I didn't get the best beer.
You guys are holding out on me.
But sample shit.
But a customer brought me in a sample, and he had one of the most primitive systems ever. And in back to like the PBR, to me, it was world-class beer. It was fantastic. And I've had beers from people who have had, like Chris, $6,000 systems, and it still was great beer. The point I'm trying to make is whether you have a primitive system or in a very advanced system, you can make fantastic beer with whatever your budget allows.
Okay, then I'll ask this question, and this is where I'll go as the amateur here and the guy who doesn't brew much. And I think I know the answer, but I mean, I'm assuming then, based on that, the better quality of ingredients and the better recipe you have will trump the quality of equipment.
It can.
Yes.
Yeah, it can.
Yes. In a nutshell, yes. What better equipment does is make your life easier, which is great. It looks cool to post on Facebook, and I now have the idea of putting a cork board so you can show off your equipment, which I think is awesome.
I'm going to put those two buckets up on there. I'm going to have my 2 buckets and my mash tun up there.
And the last thing, it kind of goes back to a word that I know, Mark, you've said me and Chris use a lot, is efficiency. When you start investing in high dollar equipment, you get better efficiency from your ingredients. However, ingredients are fairly cheap. So $4,000, an extra couple of bucks worth of grains, you got to put your budget hands up on that one. But don't get me wrong.
Some of them are doing it to show off, meaning it looks cooler. There is you can.
I agree. It's like that.
I know people. I'm not a young man. There are people out there that take some hobbies to the extreme. And don't take this. I'm not even saying in a bad way, because it helps sell the hobby too. Obviously, when you tell your buddy that you spent 12 hours making a beer and you show him 2 buckets, that's not as impressive as if I spent all day making this beer and here's what I used, and you got all this fancy equipment. It just sells your hobby a little bit. But
so I swear, before, I'm going to own a Corvette at one point in my life. And I'm also going to own
for a day, or you're actually going to buy it?
No, like buy it. And I'm also going to own a Prius. And it just kind of goes to show you, I'm chasing gas mileage, and I'm chasing, 0 to 60, but yet I'm never going to take it to, local to us, Killcare, and see how fast it can go all the time. And I think brewing equipment is kind of the same way. You can use the Prius. That there's nothing wrong with a cooler system, some plastic buckets. It does a great job to get you from point A to point B. However, if you want the Corvette, that's the sports package, it will get you there faster in theory and so forth. There's nothing wrong with that. And both systems you should show off. I would be proud of my Prius, that it gets 50 some miles to the gallon, blah 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 blah. Just as much as I would be proud of my Corvette that can haul ass, I will almost never do it.
Sometimes the pride in the equipment is one thing, but sometimes the pride in the quality of product you made with less equipment can be even more impressive.
One thing I will say in defense for the people who do have very advanced equipment is, if you're chasing, I don't even want to use the word efficiency, I want to use the word consistency with your beers. Some of the higher dollar equipment does, if I have a lot of people that walk through the door that are looking and striving to be breweries, they want to open their own brewery. So if you're chasing that consistent product, your money is well spent in higher dollar equipment.
Right. Not a plastic bucket where as more you use it, the flavors can change.
It's plausible. It's not going to make a huge difference, but yes, in theory, if you're using stainless steel fermenters, so forth and so on. We had these conversations with, kegging and bottling and stainless steel fermenters, all the shows in the past. I mean, you are gaining consistency when your money starts going into bigger and badder equipment.
Right. All right.
And the biggest thing is bigger volumes. Instead of making 5-gallon batches, you can make 10-gallon, 15-gallon, 20-gallon, 30-gallon batches. So, if you're putting it to competitions and everything, you might want to make more than a 5-gallon batch.
Now, Chris, did anyone show your wife his equipment? I mean, your wife, did she see equipment?
I didn't hear anything about that. I really hope not.
I know you said your wife texted you a lot or called and had questions.
No, yes.
You did unplug that videotape.
Oh, yeah.
Is she more? I'm asking this for a true question. Did this week make her want to be more involved in your hobby, less involved? Didn't change anything?
I don't think it really changed much of anything. I mean, for us, not to get all mushy, it was more about helping, Joey and Mary out, like while they're out doing their thing. So, for her, it was just more, she's worked in retail before.
Okay.
She's been doing that for 5+, I don't know how many years she's been doing retail, but so she's used to that. And for me, it was just, this is kind of my hobby, so why not?
Sure. All right. Well, I'm glad you had fun.
And I do want to say, for Chris and Christina for doing me a solid like they did, forget money or anything like that. I thank you guys so much. You did a fantastic job while I was gone, and I really do appreciate it. I owe you a bigger debt than just that. You've been good friends over the years, and I thank you very much.
We'll let him move up to a little bitter hop.
One single tier.
Yeah.
Bring that CO2 in. We'll pop you up a couple ounces.
There we go.
We're not filling the whole thing for you, but we'll maybe give you 22 ounces instead of 20.
There we go.
But and we'll go there. Joey, two things, because I know you went to Hawaii. And so I guess because we're a beer show, I'm more interested, I guess, in the beer part of it. What your beer experience were in Hawaii, and then obviously you're drinking a Hawaiian beer. So I need to ask: is that something you bought here or brought back here?
Brought back, and my son was so proud because we flew from we stayed in the main island, and then we flew from the main island to Honolulu, and they lost half of our luggage. So they lost two of our 4 pieces of luggage.
Always put a can of beer in each piece of luggage.
No, I put all I rolled the dice on 7.
Okay.
I stocked up on beer because the beers at the resort we were at were like $10 a piece. So the cheap ass in me said, I'm just going to go to the local store and, get the local beers, but put them in the fridge at the, the resort. Why not? So the suitcase with all the beer made it back home. My son was so proud. He put them all in the fridge and said, Dad, our suitcase with our beer came back. However, Monday when I showed up to work, I'm, scraping the back of my sock and underwear drawer and jeans and everything going,
that part of the luggage didn't make it.
Yeah, that part of the luggage didn't make it.
Got your luggage
that
yet?
was great.
Have you got your luggage yet?
So it's here. It is here now. They called me first thing yesterday and said it did arrive.
Okay.
But yeah.
All right.
It was a funny story. So I drank a lot of beer there. The nice thing I liked about Hawaii was there was not much Bud, Miller, Coors to choose from. It was a lot of their local beers. Kona being a big one. I know Chris, Kona and Longboard. I think they're lager. So they had a lot of local beers there, and that was really nice. I'm not calling them craft breweries, but they did they had a lot of options, and they were very hop forward beers, which surprised me. Not so malty, not so aromatic. However, this big swell that I've been drinking actually came back from the vacation. I think it was my favorite of the trip. However, there was one I wanted to try, but the tap was empty, so I couldn't try it.
Okay. And did you buy what you're drinking right now? Did you have to buy a 6-pack, or did you just buy a variety of different Hawaiian beers?
So we went to a local grocery store, and I just picked up 6-packs. They didn't have a build a 6-pack like Kroger's or anything.
Okay.
And like I said, I picked up like 4 different 6-packs, but I made it back. I didn't drink that much while I was gone, so I made back with a lot of beer.
Now tell them about the brew store that you went to.
Oh, was there a brew store in Hawaii?
So yes, the brew store we went to, we went ziplining, which was fantastic. A little afraid of heights, so I was, I did it. It was fun. I'm not sure I need to go ziplining again, but when we got done ziplining, I got on my phone and was like, there's a home brew store 8 minutes away from where we're at. I gotta check
your store. Did you texted in the word? Did you type in the word home brew store? obviously
Google, if you type in Google or
I know, but that's my point. You had to be looking for one.
I did it intentionally. Yes.
All right. That's
so we got there, and so I was like, "There's a homebrew store 8 minutes away. You got to take a look at it." Of course, they were closed because we were done ziplining. It was an all-day event, and I'm just peeking through the window and looking in, and it was miraculous to see whether you're in Hawaii, Ohio, very similar products. They had a much smaller scale of what we had, but they had the basics, malt extract, some basic grains, some fermenters.
Okay, the key is, did they have the hops that Chris didn't have?
I mean, that would be the I couldn't see through the window. I actually did not see a hop variety. But what funnier was 2 doors down from the home brew store was a vape store, and 2 doors down from my store is a vape store.
Okay, I get where we're going now. All right. Tell me there was an Ollie store around the corner, and then I really will just believe you didn't even leave town.
I'm sure there was, but in Hawaii, I've never been there till recently, until just this vacation, and there's not a whole lot of businesses that stay open there, and so there's almost more empty businesses. And
what about the 10,000 Mile High Club? Did you have any decent beer in an airplane?
I had a Sam Adams Boston Lager.
Oh, hey, I've been on flights where that even was an option. So
it was complimentary, so you can't beat that.
No, you can't beat that.
My son got stuck in a airport for almost 2 days, and I said, "Well, did you drink much?" He goes, "Well, I ordered the first drink, and I drank that, and it was $15." So he goes, "I didn't drink again." So obviously, $15, and that's in an airport, drinking in an airport. You gotta want to be drunk.
Yeah,
you gotta want to be drunk to get on an airplane. So but
I just go to sleep.
All right. So you zip-lined, you went to a brew store, you smuggled beer into to your resort.
You did not get lost? Because when they said they lost my luggage, I'm like, oh shit, that beer I put in my suitcase on the way back. What an idiot.
We now know your son's more interested in your beer than your underwear coming home. That's a good thing. So sounds like a good time. I mean,
yeah, we did. I mean, it was a really good time. I mean, we got to see the volcanoes. We went to a luau. I mean, there's really nothing about everybody. What's that?
You got laid
once.
There you go. Right.
They're actually real flowers, and they wilted very quickly.
I know. I mean, they're right.
I couldn't believe it. They put the lays on.
That's because you're from Ohio, where when you go to a luau, they give you that plastic ass lay thing. That's right. A real lay is flowers.
Yeah, so. It's real flowers, and you put it in a vehicle. The next day you get in it, they're gone.
And I know you're not a swimmer. Did you get into the beach? Were you in the water? Did you get in the ocean? Did you see a damn shark? Something.
So I'm not a big vacation person. However,
I know that.
I know, but however, there are certain things that when you go on vacation, there's experiences you just can't see in pictures or people talking to you. And the one that was for me was we went to the black sand beach and just a regular beach. We didn't make it to the green sand beach. Mm-hmm. Unanimously, the beaches are almost impossible to walk on if you have fair feet like me. I mean, it's like walking on sandpaper because it's broken up volcano ash, lava, and I'm telling you that shit gets in your sandals and you can't walk. You're walking like a tourist.
I just have to picture you now in sandals. That's a little hard for me, to be real honest. You in sandals.
Yeah. So, I mean, I would say that's the one experience. Like for me, it was so cool was, you just not being able to walk on the beach. It's not like, if you go to Florida or somebody.
I've also been on a black beach. Sorry, Chris. I mean the sand. And
I know.
Jeez, Pete.
The sand, it's hot as hell. I mean, just on your feet.
Well, that was the weird part.
Imagine black sand. It's hot. Yeah. I mean,
in Hawaii, it's basically 60 to 80 degrees, 365 days a year. And so the water was fucking cold. I didn't get in the water.
The Pacific Ocean is cold. The Pacific Ocean is cold except for like a month a year. People don't realize
the water was very cold, but the sun was very intense, but but the weather was very pleasurable. I don't think I broke a sweat almost the entire time I was there. However, when you was in the sun, I mean, I'm still kind of sun beat. I mean, the sun was very intense there. It was, I highly recommend it. You know, now I can check it off the things that I've done. I love the people. I love the weather. I loved everything about it. It's just a long ass plane ride, and I'm not sure I'm ready to do it again. But obviously, I've only been back for a few days now. I still haven't caught up my sleep. My wife actually just said the other day.
Chris, tell me he brought you and your wife back a T-shirt.
No T-shirt.
Not even a T-shirt.
I brought back some beers. I brought him some beers.
I got some beers.
Oh, he gave you Hawaiian beer?
Yeah, I got some beers. Yeah.
Okay, but that's only because he couldn't drink it while he was there.
Probably, yeah.
I know Joey. Joey did not. Here's a 6-pack for me, and this 6-pack will be for Chris. He went, man, I'm gonna drink the shit out of this, and then he didn't, and you got a 6-pack. So,
and then the ones that I don't like, I'll give them to Chris.
Oh wait, you got a variety pack, Chris, or did you get a 4-pack?
I got a variety.
Missing.
I got a variety.
All right. All right. Well, we'll have to sample those some night.
Oh yeah.
Speaking of sampling, Chris, how is the beer you're drinking this evening?
This is really good. I mean, it is. I think it's 8%, 8.2% ABV. So that definitely helps. Get things rolling. But for taste, yeah, dead on. I mean, for 8.2%, for something that's at high grav, I'm expecting to quote unquote taste the alcohol, have that cloying, type of mouthy feel to it. I don't have that with this. Mm-hmm. I think it's well balanced. The hops aren't it's not overly hoppy, but at the same time, you get it. You get the aroma, you get the taste, and even on the back end, you taste like the fruitiness of the hop additions. So I think overall, it's great. Huh?
Where'd you purchase it at?
Are we supposed to say that here? Because last time I did that, I got in trouble.
You got in trouble. All right. Not Kroger's, because I've not seen that brand at my local store or my
Against
Kroger's.
the Grain. I got this one over at Belmont.
Okay, all right.
Yeah.
I buy my coffee there. I mean, so hey, but hey, it's hard to beat their selection of beers. I mean,
there's only so many places in Dayton that really carry, I think, Kroger's and let's say even like Dorothy Lane Market, like here, they're starting to carry like more craft beer. But even for some of the other stuff that we talked about, like 450 North, I mean, some of the other like smaller breweries, or even like the more, I guess, popular craft breweries that are coming out now, you have to go to Arrow Wine, Belmont Party Supply. I mean, there's only so many places in Dayton.
Well, luckily, my local grocery store here in my little town now carries all. I mean, they got stacks of all the Yellow Springs Brewery beers, which I like. So that kind of, at least can get that kind of beer here in town. So that's nice. And Joey, your Hawaiian beer. I mean, obviously tonight wasn't the first night you have drunken it. So did you have it before? I mean, in Hawaii, did you drink that one?
I brought it back. It was actually probably the favorite beer of all the beers I had while I was in Hawaii, and I probably had 7 different beers while I was there.
Unfortunately, we use the word girly drink. That's not right. Did you? I mean, to me, I'm sorry. You're on the beach. You got to have a margarita or something. Did you have anything else? Did you have anything other than a beer? Did you have a fancy fruity drink or a
Jack and a Coke at least? Something?
No, not really. I mean,
is it a pina colada or a pina colada? I've heard both. I don't even know.
I'm not sure which one they call it, but
that's coconut and pineapple. I would assume that's popular in Hawaii.
I'm sure it probably is. However, we were a 6-hour time difference in Hawaii to Ohio. So we woke up at 5:30 in the morning and we were in bed by 9 p.m. So I really didn't drink very much while I was there. I did try as many local beers as I could, and as far as the local drinks goes, mixed drinks goes.
I mean, I think Hawaii, obviously, I think Dole pineapple was there. Did you have fresh pineapple?
So macadamia nuts is definitely something that was one of
the other thing, right?
I would say out of they're huge there. Fantastic. They taste like, my son actually described them best. Buttered popcorn is what they kind of taste like.
All right.
And then I would say the coffee was what blew me away. the coffee was just amazing.
Oh, wait, the Dunkin' Donuts in Hawaii is better than the Dunkin' Donuts in Ohio? Because I know you're a Dunkin' guy.
That was only at the airport. And
all right,
there was, I can't think the name of it, because we got coffee and then we got macadamia nut honey. The bees basically fed off the macadamia nuts, and the honey my wife was blown away by. And I thought, and me and her both thought, that the coffee has this very, very, it's not bitter, but it's strong. It's just like a French press coffee. And it was amazing. The coffee was what I was actually most.
Now, is this every day? Like, did you get it at the resort, or did you go to like a Starbucks type place?
We actually, on our way to, I don't know if it was I think it was on our way back from visiting the biggest volcano, I think, in the world. It depends on how you want to measure the biggest volcano in the world, which they described to us. But after visiting the biggest volcano, we went to a coffee roaster, and so you got it. I mean, fresh, roasted, grinded, and it was smooth, strong, just amazing coffee. But it didn't have that bitter bite like a lot of drip coffees can.
All right.
It was really good. I was actually.
Did you bring me how many beans?
I thought I'd be smart and order them online, and no.
We brought coffee back from when we went to Jamaica last year, because their coffee down there was actually quite good.
Mm-hmm.
All right.
Beer not so great unless you love Red Stripe.
Well, I am going to tell you, I am very impressed with the Paps. You two early in the show made it.
So, Chris,
I think you kind of made fun of it. You did not tell me, if I didn't know this was Pabst PBR, I'd have thought it was some, I'm not going to use the word craft beer. But this has much more flavor than a Bud or a Bud Light, or I definitely, of the name brand beers, because all of them now make, kind of, I'll use the word exotic or a high alcohol beer, just a fancier, beer. Like, what is it? Budweiser, it has the black,
yeah,
which I don't think it's bad, but it just has a lot of alcohol flavor to it. I think this is, I really think this is pretty good. I mean,
Chris,
it has flavor.
So Chris, you told me the best descriptor of that beer. Shoot.
It's the beer. That's the brew in a can. That's exactly what it is. I mean, that's the way it tastes to me. All the way down. I mean, from aroma to taste to like mouthfeel. I mean, all of it. It's the brew in a can. Yeah. I mean, we could brew this for about $13.
Yep. I totally 100% agree with Chris's.
And I think that is, now the way you're describing it, some people listening may not know. What you mean is it's an extract type beer, meaning it's
pre-hopped extract type of beer.
Right. It's the cheapest or least expensive way to home brew. And I would agree. That's probably a pretty good description for our listeners anyway.
And that's not, and please don't get me wrong. When we say it's brew in a can, that doesn't mean that it's bad. I mean, we'll have this conversation probably next week in terms of all grain versus extract.
Yeah.
I started brewing with using extract, and I liked the beers that I brewed. They weren't great, but I liked extract.
Okay.
Right?
And we'll get into that next week. They weren't great after you learn to brew the other way. I mean, when you're first brewing that way, if that's the first way you brew, you do think that's damn good beer. I mean,
Well, no, I would say that the reason why I'm saying that they weren't great is because my process for brewing wasn't as refined as it is now.
Mm-hmm.
I could switch back to extract and probably brew
and still make better beer than you could have your first brew.
Exactly.
It's back to fantasy sports. Each year you play, if you have the same team this year that you had your first year, let's say 5 years ago, you're probably going to do better with that team this year than you did 5 years ago.
100%.
You didn't know how to manage it. You didn't know how to tweak it. You made mistakes.
You learn new things as things as you go along, and that's all that I'm saying. And that's all that we're saying with this is that, I mean, this is not a bad beer.
No,
for what it is, for the cost,
yep.
and for what it is.
I'm even saying it's not far off of a flavor of like a Samuel Adams to me. I mean, it really has a similar taste to just the regular, Me and
Chris had this conversation, and I think the reason why like the pre-hopped cans get a bad rap is because obviously the fermentable that they use to boost the ABV and why they're so cheap is corn sugar. And it has a flavor that I think in that beer just stands out and doesn't make that beer a bad beer. It just means when Chris said that, and when he said that, and I tried it at the store the other day, I was just like, wow, you are 100% correct. Doesn't make it a bad beer. Doesn't make it an undrinkable beer. And if you're homebrewing at home and, like Chris said, you're making it for, $14, for 5 gallons, how do you beat that? I mean,
right. If I had this in draft or on draft in a 5-gallon corny in my refrigerator, I would have no problem drinking this every night with dinner.
No, not one bit.
I have no problem pouring this in a big burrito. I would have,
and you have.
I would say this would not sit in my refrigerator like some weird stout would. You know what I'm saying? I mean, I would go through this 5-gallon fairly quickly.
Yep. So, and you would have maybe an hour invested of your time to make that for that.
And it also has enough taste where if I gave some to a buddy who didn't know anything about brewing, he'd probably drink it and realize, okay, it doesn't taste like Budweiser, but I could drink it. I mean, I think you could serve this and people would go, hey, that's pretty good. I originally I actually had another beer I was going to bring to the table. And then I did buy this today because I saw it, because I think it was Joey that told me about it or mentioned it. And again, I hadn't seen it before, so I don't know how long it had been at Kroger's, or if they just got it in. I don't even know how long it's been out, but someone told me about it a couple weeks ago, and then I saw it. I would buy that again, because obviously it's inexpensive for the flavor, meaning, I want to say I paid $6.99 for 6 16-ounce cans.
Yeah.
Maybe in that price range. So, obviously for a little bit of flavor and a little bit of price, back to the same thing. Like Joey said, if I went to a bar that had basic beers on tap and they said, oh, we now have Pabst APA on tap, I'd say, well, give me
why not? Yep.
I would drink that.
Yeah. I would take it over your Bud Miller Coors. I'm even starting to lean towards even like a Yingling or PBR. I mean,
it has more flavor than even a Yingling, I think. Yep. I'm gonna say I'm not knocking it all. I've enjoyed it. So, all right. We just talked next week, or no? Didn't you have a story you wanted me to remind you about?
So. Today at the store, I had a really cool thing happen. Back to jobs and retail and everything that started the show. There was a customer that walked in the store, and we got talking and home brewing and blah 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 blah. I actually worked side by side next to his twin brother for like 2+ years.
Wow!
And it was one of those moments where you're like, the world just shrinks, and you go, "I know you." Because you have a twin brother, looks like identical twin brother, with sound and everything. And I just said, I don't want to name drop names. And I said, is your last name such and such? He goes, yeah. And it's amazing. They were in the same industry. I have a background in printing. That's kind of where I started, my career after I graduated high school. And to have that dialogue and have the world shrink down and It was amazing conversation, because we had a great conversation before we even knew each other, and we had a great conversation afterwards. And that was the story I wanted to tell. It was it's amazing. And that just goes to show you, that's why I love this business. That's why I love this industry, is the world gets so small. There's no bad customer. There's no bad experience.
There's no bad brewer.
No, I mean, we all enjoy. I find that home brewers are very similar minded people, in the sense of, most homebrewers usually play like a musical instrument, like a guitar or something, or they're in graphic arts like this customer was, like I was. They're very much in the artistic, creating something, and to be able to have your world shrink and get smaller day by day is just, I don't know. It's why I wake up every day and go to work. I mean, I love it.
All right. Now that you said that, I do have a very important question. I need help because I'm kind of debating something. And that is, this is important to me. Local concerts here. No, it's not. It's nothing big. It's Alice Cooper or Ted Nugent tickets. Which way are we going? Where do you go? That's a good
one. If you want to talk musical, if you want to talk musical talent, you got to give it to Ted Nugent. If you want to talk best show, I'm going to go to Alice Cooper.
All right, and see here's my dilemma. I have seen Ted Nugent 3 times is Ted Nugent and 1 time is damn Yankees. So I'm a Ted Nugent guy.
Damn Yankees. Oh my gosh.
Damn his only number 1 hit was with damn Yankees. That album kicks ass. I'm sorry. If you like late 80s rock, you can't go wrong with little damn Yankees.
Ballerina ballads is what they called them. Or ballads.
And the best song on the whole album is song 12. Ted got 1 song on the whole album. It's song 12. It's called Pile Driver. Damn, Ted rocks that to no end. None of that, Night Ranger stuff. But, part of the debate was Ted, they're both older guys, obviously. I think in their 60s. I've never seen Alice Cooper, but I'm debating if I'm going to go see an old rocker, does a musician get a little vote above the singer? Meaning a musician's never going to go downhill, in my opinion. If not, might even get better or get, more, technique or something, where to me, a singer, as they get older, very rarely gets better. You know what I'm saying? So I'm kind of torn.
I can go with that. Yeah.
I respect Alice Cooper because he seeks talent, and there was a female playing guitar for him, and John Fife. He has breeded a lot of talent.
His band is very talented. Versus, and I don't know much about
Nugent is the talent. Other than he is the talent.
Yeah. Plays that damn 90-pound guitar. I forget the name of that, but I know that's one of those big heavy ass.
Les Paul.
I mean, I've enjoyed Ted over the years, so I was a little torn when I saw both of them coming like in the same month. Like, you know what? The tickets are like 60, but it's not the end of time. I could go to both, maybe. I'm not sure. Mrs. Easy's, she's seen Ted a few times. Mrs. Easy used to rock out in the old Easy days, so I'm not gonna knock her too much. But and the third option was the Monkees, but one of them's dead, the other one doesn't tour with them. Yeah, I was like, but I've never seen, the Monkees have more hits than the other 2 guys combined, though. I mean,
that's
when
true.
You think of hits and I'm guessing even record sales total is probably higher, but
so if we're gonna talk bands, so Silverchair was my favorite band growing up, and nobody knows that band. Nobody's probably gonna know that band, and my wife was like 8 months pregnant with my son when I had the opportunity, which I now know was their last tour. So I will never see them again. And the other band I wanted to see, and we actually had tickets. We had really good tickets, and I was going to take my whole family, was Linkin Park, and then Chester passed away. And so I've pretty much been shafted on every band I've been looking very forward to going to go see. And so at this point, I'm not sure. I don't really have a band where I just got to go see now. I'm not sure which one it would be.
And I know we've talked. I mean, I've seen a lot, to be honest, but
I've seen a lot too.
I'm a Meatloaf person, and you know that. I've talked. Yeah. I mean, back in the 70s, I was a Meatloaf guy, and no one else was. And Meatloaf came to Dayton. Okay, Meatloaf sold tickets to come to Dayton. And I still have the only 2 tickets I've ever kept in my life are the 2 Meatloaf tickets where he canceled and did not show up, and it cost me about $100, and I still never got to see Meatloaf.
So my first concert ever was Metallica.
Oh wow!
That bar.
Wait, I think I was with you.
You probably were, and the reload tour, right?
And famous Dayton was with us.
Yep,
Dayton famous.
And I got to be honest, that was probably one of the best shows I've ever seen.
I would agree.
Period.
I've been to a bunch,
and
Guns N' Roses is still at the top for me, and I think that's before your age. I don't know you were going to concerts when I saw him.
Which I've actually heard he is killing it right now. Well, and they say you got to go see it now.
I've heard that. I do not want to ruin what is in my head. And I'm not saying it would or wouldn't, but I saw them at their peak. I saw, Appetite Destruction. I mean, they were, the biggest band in the world when I saw them, and they put on the best show I've ever heard, ever seen. Now, they didn't come out till 1 a.m. Soundgarden played at 8:30, and we sat there for 4.5 hours because he was being a
Chris Cornell,
across the damn,
Axel,
thing. But when they finally came out, there was nothing better than Guns N' Roses at their peaks. So.
I would say at this date and time, if there's ever an artist, I can't believe I'm going to say this, Silverchair is no longer a plausible thing, and obviously Linkin Park, since Chester passed away, is not plausible.
Yes.
And I cannot believe I'm going to say this. I think Garth Brooks would be the last artist. I cannot stand country music.
He's an entertainer.
I would go see Garth Brooks would be the last one I would say I would pay any amount of money to go see.
Really?
I've seen multiple concerts. I've seen him. He will play until the audience stops cheering. And I respect an artist. He won't even play his songs. He'll play covers. He'll play.
Yeah, he does. He plays anything.
Wow.
Play. And he's a talented musician.
All right.
And that would be my last pick.
We can talk about music some other day. Except
this was
Chris,
a good show.
Chris, give me your one artist you want to go see. Tell us where we can find you in the future.
Artist I'd want to go see, to be quite honest with you, I would love to go see Billy Joel in concert. If I could. Yeah, I love this. Yeah. Like I grew up, like my mother, like she really enjoyed listening to Billy Joel like when she was younger, and she got me hooked on him when I was like, gosh, it was like 7, 8 or something like that. And I think that'd be one of them.
Artist.
Yeah, right, I would love to go see him.
I think Joey's parents saw him with Elton John a couple years ago. I think they were in Columbus.
I think that's one of the concerts. We won't discuss that.
Yeah, that'd be a phenomenal show to go see him and Elton.
I was gonna say Elton John if you had to ask me the same question.
Yeah. But you can find me on Twitter at Chris Allen FFWX, and then you'll probably see me posting randomly on the HBYOB Facebook page. Trying to
where they can see your picture now.
Well, they can see my picture now of
you're HBYOB famous.
I am, being Joey's quote unquote twin brother.
Yep. There you go.
Yeah,
I got that.
You'll probably see me in the store at some point.
All right. Joey, owner of HBYOB, where can we contact you? What's going on?
So all of the links are in the description in the YouTube page. And if you want to email me personally, my email is joey@hbyob.com.
All right. And I'm Easy Kill. You can find me at A Fantasy Fan on Twitter. We've had good next week. Again, I'm sure random stuff. We're going to talk about extract versus grain. And we'll get into that. But I'm going to leave you with my most famous band in the land, Fighting for a Name.
Oh, boy.